So it's been an interesting and quite frustrating week on social media. Want to talk about it next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. I always love spending this time with you. And folks, thank you once again for joining me. Some of you have been watching me in variations of this podcast for decades. I appreciate that. And just know that I love you and I'm glad you're here and I'm devoted to doing these podcasts. I love speaking my heart to yours. This is one of those days when that's exactly what I'd like to do. So, social media is quite an animal, as you know. It seems like people feel more and more free to just level each other without really any regard for things. That it becomes more important that my opinion is stated than my love and respect for you and for other people. And I've watched people do that this week. From some of my posts, some that I asked actually for people not to do that, and they did that anyway. And just a lot of misunderstanding. And it's frustrating on my part because I also want to react to things sometimes just because I have a strong point that I'd like to make. But I know that it would really set a lot of people off and it wouldn't really respect other people the way I'd like to. Now, I'm not afraid to give my opinions. You can ask anybody around me. But I see a higher purpose in what I do, and that is to present the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that continues to be the most important thing. And so when people say, why didn't you say this, or why don't you say that, or why don't you take a stand with this? Well, those things aren't as important as the one important thing. And if I were to drive away anyone on my site, my website, my social media sites, because of my opinion on anything else, then it's not worth it, from my perspective as a pastor. Now, I know some of you will disagree with this, but it's also why I'm still here after all these years. So it has been my privilege and my pleasure to be a pastor for almost 50 years. It has been just the love of my life to be able to help to pioneer the Christian rock, Christian heavy metal. And it has been absolutely my passion and my deep love to father this movement. I'm not the only father, there are others too, but one of them. And I take that responsibility very seriously, very soberly. And it's why I refuse to comment on a lot of other things, because I don't want other things to get in the way. My heart for you is that you grow in the love of Jesus Christ, that you grow in love for each other. That's a really important thing. Romans chapter 12 and verse 10 says, be devoted to one another with authentic brotherly affection. As members of one family, give preference to one another in honor. I would just love to post this on social media collectively and remind people that not even a Christian, but a humanitarian thing is to honor other people. It's the foundation of who we are as human beings. honoring you, not just deciding to wipe you out, but to honor even if your opinion isn't exactly mine. But there's a couple things in this verse that I really love. Be devoted to one another with authentic brotherly affection. It's one thing to say that I love you, another thing to honestly love you. One thing to say, I love you, but I don't agree with you, and then start a fight. Another thing to say, I love you, but I got to set you straight, and then you tear into them. We throw this word love around a lot, and we tell people that we love them, and then we level them. It says the kind of love that God wants us to use is brotherly affection, but authentic brotherly affection, which only comes from God. It's agape. It's the bond that we have in the Spirit of God, and it's the bond that we have in our unity as the church. And it says, so as members of one family, of the church, give preference to one another in honor. Folks, I would love to see that as our days continue and as we are in this process of politics and elections and, working out things that from one society to another, from one country to another, even from one type of church denomination to another, that we would give honor and give preference to each other. And we would remember that authentic brotherly affection is what God has asked us to do. Folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.